So I first started saving for retirement when I was in my 20s, and then I started off with such a small amount, and I was saving slowly over time that I kind of got in the habit of not thinking about it really at all. And so throughout my 20s and 30s, it was just this automatic habit that I had where I would save money every month or as often as I could for retirement, but without thinking too much about it. And then there came a point fairly recently where I looked at my savings and I realized I'd saved more than $1 million. And then retirement changed for me from this sort of abstract concept into something very real. And I realized, I need to plan for this. I need to think about this. And one of the first questions, I think, for a lot of people, especially once you get, fairly close to what you think might be the milestone, is, how much do I need? How much is enough? And so I watched a lot of videos, I read books about retirement savings. And of course, there's no consensus on anything related to retirement. There's a lot of planning that you can do. You save money in your main retirement account. And then maybe you need to save money for healthcare expenses. Maybe you need to save money for your children in a custodial account or college savings account, a 529 plan in the US. There's just so many different things. And so I kept finding myself in this situation where I was thinking, okay, well, I've done this part. Maybe I need to add on to this part, and I need to add on to it this part. And also, how much do I really want to live on in retirement? How much do I need? It's easy to fall into the same kind of consumerist mindset that you have while you're working, which is just, more is better. More is always better. I'm always going to need more. I need more for my retirement. I need more for medical expenses. I need more for all of these things. And I just kind of realized that, it's important to figure out how much is actually enough. What is enough for a good life? Joseph Heller and Kurt Vonnegut went to this party, and Vonnegut was kind of joking with Heller. He said, hey, I think this guy made more in a week than you made off of all the sales of Catch-22, Joseph Heller's famous book at the time. And Heller responded, well, I have something he'll never have. And Vonnegut said, well, what is that? And Heller said, enough. It's easy to get caught in that trap of just always saving more and more and building up your war chest to be larger and larger. But there's no real utility to money other than eventually spending it. It may sound obvious, but money doesn't have any intrinsic value. It's just what you can exchange it for. There's this traditional idea of retirement that you work until you're 65 and then you have 15, 20 years, if you're lucky, at the end to spend the money that you've accrued over an entire lifetime. And I think there's a way to get out of the system earlier and, survive on less and thrive on less, really. You don't need 25 million or $1 billion. It makes me wonder why wealthy people continue to strive after money that they couldn't hope to spend in their lifetimes. Is it a status game? I'm reading a book called Elephant in the Brain that talks about kind of our hidden social motives for doing things, sometimes not very admirable social motives for doing things. We do a lot of things to unconsciously to signal to people that we would make a good ally or we'd make a good mate. So a lot of this is, in a sense, kind of showing off. I think wealth accrual definitely plays into that, where people are just accruing wealth as to sort of like win at the game of life. It's sort of a show-off mechanism to show people, hey, I would be a great ally. Look at all the resources I've amassed, or I'd be a great mate. Look at everything that I've amassed. I can not only provide for myself, but I can provide easily for others. So it's good to keep, those concepts in mind as you sort of analyze how people save and accrue and gather wealth throughout their lifetimes. So I was thinking a lot about this question, how much is enough? And so I actually went to Google and I typed in exactly that phrase, how much is enough? And sure enough, there's a book written on this topic, literally on this topic, by Robert and Edward Skidelsky. Sort of examining how much is enough. How much is enough wealth for a human? What is the point of the acquisition and accumulation of wealth? And I'm still reading it, so I don't have a full book review right now. But it's fascinating. They talk about how Keynes in the 30s, the famous economist Keynes, predicted that about at this time in history, that humans would be working about 15 hours a week. We'd have generated so much wealth as a species that we'd no longer have to work really long hours. And of course that didn't happen. So the book sort of explores, why didn't that happen? Why don't we have enough? Or if we do have enough, why haven't we sort of scaled back on labor? Why are we still working so hard? I mean, in the 1930s, when Keynes made that prediction, people working 50, 60 hours a week. Now, 2021, people are still working 50 hours a week in a lot of industries. I think work hours declined up until the 1980s and then sort of flattened out, and I think recently are even going up a little bit. So what's the deal with that? Why are we working so hard? What are we working for? What is the point of all this? If you acquire and accumulate all this wealth only to die a few years later, what's the point of that? So I am very curious for myself to figure out what the good life is, and to get that for myself, and to realize that I really only need my fair share. If I accumulate more than I need, it's really wasteful. It's not good for the environment. It's not necessary for myself. Every year that I'm at work is a year that I sort of lost to kind of to run my own life, manage my own life, do exactly what I want to do. So I'm 49 years old now. I think I'll retire in about a year. So you can come with me on this journey and see, what does this last year of employment look like? How do I continue to evolve my thinking around retirement savings and what I need to live on as I get older? And in the retirement phase of my life, how do I think about managing my money and my savings? I'll continue this as a regular series. Come with me on the journey, and if you have any questions, ask, and I'll try to answer them, or I'll find the answer. We'll find the answer together. I think there's a better way to do retirement, and I'm dedicated to figuring out what that is, what that looks like. Thanks. Bye.